Right. So it is recording. Right. So now what we have done is we have gathered the information or like the requirements of the system. So we are going to create a software. So now we know what are the requirements or like what is the user required by that software by doing this requirement identification. Then what we are going to do is we are going to design the solution. Now, designing the solution means we have to plan the things. Now, first we gather the information, what actually is needed by the client. Client ඇත්තටම මොනවාද ඕනි කියලා හොයාගත්තේ first basic. Now we are going to do we're going to design the things. Now it is something very same when an architecture is creating a plan for someone. The architecture plan එක අඳින්න ඕන වුණාම first architecture asks the question or the person who is handing over the work to the architecture is saying what he wants, right? But architecture plan එක අඳින්න බාර දෙන කෙනා කියනවා මට කාමර තුනක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ ගෙදර තට්ටු දෙකකට හදන්න ඕනේ car park එක මේ විදිහට තියෙන්න ඕනේ ඔය විදිහට කියනවා. So that is about the first phase, right? So the client is saying what he needs. So the person who is developing or like designing the system is gathering the requirements. So once he gathered, then the architecture can design the solution, right? එතකොට ඊට පස්සේ තමයි architecture plan එක අඳින්න පටන් ගන්නේ. So in our case, when we are developing a software, it is the very same pattern that we are going to go. So first we gather the requirements from the client, then we are going to design the solution. So based on the requirement gathered, we are going to plan the solution, right? So design the solution means designing means not developing, right? හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න එක design කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ අපි system එක හදනවා කියන එක නෙවෙයි. අපි මේ plan එක ඇඳ ගන්නවා. Right? So upon the requirement analysis or like the requirements given by the client, we design. In most of the cases, we use designing tools, or like the even we can draw those things on a book. So we design the interfaces, we design the programs, we draw the flow charts, right? You remember why we draw a flow chart, right? මතකයිනේ අපි Pascal programs හදන්න කලින් program එක කොහොමද වෙන්නේ කියලා අපි design කරගත්තානේ. So we create those flow charts. It can be used for the next phase, which is coding the solution, right? And there are several different things that they are doing. Let's see what are those, because they have listed things for you, right? So as they say, at this stage, actual design of the proposed system takes place. Some activities related to design process are as follows: identification of software and software architecture. Yes. Now, in what kind of a software that we are going to create, and how it can be created, and designing the user interfaces. What are what the user sees on the screen, and preparation for data storage. Then ඔගොල්ලෝ ATM machine එකකින් සල්ලි අරගන්න ගියා withdrawal එකක් කරන්න ගියාම it is the interface that you are seeing, right? So that interface need to be developed or need to be designed in the designing phase, right? And identification of made hardware system and its components. Yes. So like when you are designing the solution, you need to see in what kind of computers that we are going to install this system. So according to that requirement, අපේ computer එකේ තියෙන performance ටික අපි මේවා install කරන යන computer එකේ performance ඒ කියන්නේ processor speed එක කොහොමද, hardware capacity එක කොහොමද, how about the RAM capacity and monitor size, all these things are being taken into consideration. Then we develop the system according to that requirements, right? And identification of dependency on each subsystems. So when it comes to a system, it is a collection of subsystems. So how those subsystems can be managed, කොහොමද අපි මේ subsystems manage කරගන්නේ? දැන් අපි student information system එක ගැන හිතුවොත්, inside the student information system you may find a subsystem for teachers, another subsystem for students, and another subsystem for principals and deputy principals. So those are subsystems, and how these things are related to each other, and how they are depending on each other, right? So there are like many different tools. When we are, if you are going to do your ICT in A levels, you will be able to know about these tools, right? මේ දවස්වල A level එකක් කළා ඒලට අපි කරගෙන යන්නේ මේ පාඩමම තමයි. ඒක it's a broad thing. කියන්නේ ටිකක් ලොකුවට අපි මේ ගැන කතා බහ කරනවා, right? So and deciding on the required hardware and software to run the system, as we discussed. Designing instructions, infrastructure for software, database, and user interface. Yes, what is the infrastructure? මොන විදිහේ infrastructure එකක්ද අපිට ඕන වෙන්නේ? Like what are the other supportive softwares that we need, and how the electricity can be taken into the system, and are we going to use a like uninterrupted power supply, a UPS, regarding this, and those kind of things, right? And planning of the tests. Now, planning of the tests means once the system is done, we have to test the system before we hand it over to the client. So in the designing, on the second phase of the SDLC, we are like planning those tests. කියන්නේ ඉස්සරහට කරන්න ඉන්න test ටික අපි plan කරගන්නවා මෙතන. So අපි ලියලා තියා ගන්නවා දැන්. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේ test එකක් carry out කරනවා කියන එක බොහොම ලේසියෙන් තේරුම් ගන්න පුළුවන්. In the scenario that you are going to purchase a phone, right? අපි phone එකක් මිලදී ගත්තම we are doing some tests නේ. We get to know how the camera is. That's the first thing. That is the first test that we are going to do, right? Cam making up your lesson to pay on. It's a test that we are doing, right? And then we look into how what are the facilities of this one, whether I am able to on and off data connection, and can I send a picture to some other phone. And less importantly, now you are checking whether you can take a call, right? අපි phone එක ගන්න call එකක් make කරන්න ඕන උනාට ගොඩක් වෙලාවට phone එක ගන්නකොට අපිට දැන් අපි call එකක් ගන්න පුළුවන්ද කියලා ලොකුවට check කරන්නේ නැහැ. We check for the other things, right? But that testing should be done at the very first time. Why we are purchasing a mobile phone or a telephone to communicate, so we have to check whether we can communicate or not, right? The SIM card insert karala, so you will be checking whether the things are being okay, and as well as you are like you can check the screen, right? Those are the tests that we can carry out on a phone. So likewise, when you are planning a system and you plan the tests as well, which you are going to do once the system is done. අපිට initial stage එකේ අපි කරන්න යන test ඔක්කොම අපිට list down කරගන්න බැරි වෙන්න පුළුවන්, but we list down the test as per the requirement, or like for the moment. So later if we are like having the mind about another test, we are going to add those things into our planning document, or like the designing document, right? So up to that point, the designing the solution has done. So we have gone through two separate phases now: gathering the requirements, then designing the solution, right? So again, I'm mentioning you, designing is not developing, right? Design කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ ගොඩනගනවා කියන එක නෙවෙයි, plan කරනවා, right? Okay, so give me a feedback up to this point. Is it clear for you, right? Do you have any questions regarding this? So you can ask. Right. Thank you, Heshani. So how about others? Okay, Nikini, thank you. Yes, people? Others? Oh, Leandra, hold on. There is someone in the waiting room. Oh no. Hold on, in this side, Leandra is asking for. Yes. All right. So I'm having. Okay, Leandra, good morning. Leandra, you was there, right? You disconnected. Right. Leandra, can you see my screen? I have shared it.
Yes, sir.
Right, okay, right, okay. Right, okay, people, let's proceed. Um, Now we have discussed two phases, and the third phase is coding of the solution. Right now, hold on. Before I go into those phases, I need you to mention what are the things that you need to write down regarding this. Right. So you can have the main heading, system development process. Hold on, you really don't need that system development process. Just put the heading, system development life cycle. Right. And please mark these things on your textbook using a pencil, so you can copy those things onto your books, right? So system development life cycle is going to be your heading. And you can put number 1 and say identification of the requirements. So you don't need to list these 6 steps in here, right? May steps highly on. So you just put the heading, and you can straight away say number 1 and identification requirements. So under that, I'll highlight you the things which you need to be written, right? So let me check. Here, you may copy the very first line of the first paragraph until the place which says is carried out in this space. That means the very first statement, right? Very first line. And then yeah, you can copy the first line of the second paragraph as well as your second point. At this stage, the system analysis will study the existing system extensively and identify new requirements, right? And then you have to copy these things as well. What are the ways that they are gathering the requirement? So in the third para, you have to copy it entirely. Hold on, my people. Don't go for that, right? Because we have to describe each and every explanation in here. So what you can do is you can write this line, right? Don't go for the list under it. So under that, you better write the things regarding these subheadings. Right? That means the entire thing, right? Since it is been described here in the well formatted and the summarized way, you have to copy the entire thing, right? So I think you have highlighted or like the mark the places which you need to be copied, right? Okay, and then you can put number 2 and design in the solution. And yes, again, you have to go through the entire para because it gives you the paces or like the ways of doing it. So the first para plus the 7 points inside it, it's better you take down into your books, right? So when you are copying this, it will be another practice for you to memorize these things. That's why I'm asking you to copy this, right? Okay, so is that clear for all? Did you mark everything that I have said? Do I need to repeat? Just give me a confirmation. Okay, Leandra, how about others? All right. Okay, let's proceed then. All right, the coding of the solution, that means the third phase. Now, third phase is about, now we have gathered the requirement at the very initial phase. Then we design the system, which we are going to implement. System design. Then we are coding the solution. Now, you know, if we need to create a computer software, we have to use some programming language to create it. And if we are going to store the data using that software, we need a database to be designed, right? So people, basically, we need a computer software with us which will be created using the programming language like Pascal. And we need a database like Access to store the data which is given by that system, or like which are related to that system. So when you are coding the solution, means you are developing the system using the computer language, and you are developing a database with the help of database management system. And there will be softwares where the database is not an essential thing to that software. So on those cases, you only need to create the software just by using a programming language. So now here they have not discussed it about very much, because we have done our entire first lesson regarding the coding. So what basically you are doing is, according to the plan that you have made, you will be developing the software using a programming language in this phase. How about search? Right, sorry people. Right, so regarding coding of the solution, you better copy the this only paragraph in that under that heading. So just write it down. The main objective of this stage is coding the proposed system using the suitable computer language, making the code simple and efficient, enable one to develop, understand it easily, and so on. So just remember, so we have done 3 phases regarding the system development life cycle. Right, and the 4th phase is about testing and debugging. Now, did you remember that in the 2nd phase I have mentioned you as the last step, planning of the tests, right? And in the 4th phase is the testing and debugging. So testing and debugging means we do several tests to find out whether there are any bugs. Bugs means any incorrect places or incorrectly acting module inside our system. So just give me a second. Manusia seperti ini, Mr. Beberapa movement Right. So, as I told you, debugging means taking out the bugs. That means taking out the wrongs. That incorrectness or the wrongs or the bugs can be bugs of our coding or bugs in the system. So, however, what we are going to is we do the tests and see whether there are any errors inside our system, and if we found anything, we are going to correct those things. So testing can be carried out up to 4 phases. So like by using 4 different techniques. So those actually those are like steps of the testing. So first of all, the very first testing type that we are doing is the unit testing. Unit testing means, so when you are creating a system, it's a collection of small components, or like small activities, right? Now, think about a software uh, like the word processing software, MS Word, right? So MS Word is a huge software. So that software is not done by a single person. It is done by many different programmers, which may have a collection of 100 to 1,000 programmers. So what the Microsoft is doing, they are giving a single different component for each and every developer, each and every programmer to take care of, right? So like if we take an example in our in the MS Word, the formatting tools can be done by one separate program, and the rulers and the page setup can be done by another program, right? So likewise, small components will be created by many different programs. So unit testing is done by those programmers, right? So unit testing means the small components. That means unit. We call them units. Each and every unit is tested, whether it is giving the correct output regarding the correct input. So if someone needs to test the bold tool in the MS Word, let's say there's a programmer who have developed the bold tool. So the test for him is typing some text on the word processing software and test whether it is being bold when the button is pressed. So those are called unit testing. So when the unit testing is done by the the programmer who has done that part. So So another example, if we take bicycle as an example, the unit testing means what? When we are ringing the bell, whether it is working. When we are switch on the light, whether it is working, right? When we change the gear, whether the gearing handle is working, the brakes are working or not, right? So those will be the unit testing part. Unit by unit, you are going to test those things, whether the seat is fixed very well. So those are unit tests. Then once the unit testing part has done, then we can do integration testing. Now, integration testing means you are going to take number of units together, small number of units together, and integrate those things and check whether integrated module is working as expected, right? Then අපි bicycle එකම අරගත්තොත් example එක විදිහට the unit testing that we have done was whether the brake is okay, gear is okay, and lights are lighting up or not, whether the seat is okay or not. Those are the unit testing part. And the paddles are okay to a paddle, wheels are okay, and the cog wheels are connected accordingly. So those will be the unit testing part. So for the integration testing, what we are going to do is, now in the bicycle, when you are paddling, it's the the back wheel which is going to function. අපි paddle කරනකොට පිටිපස්සේ රෝදනේ කරකෙන්න පටන් ගන්නවා. All right. So how that is going to happen? Paddles are being connected to the cogwheels, and which is the front cogwheel, and using a chain, it is connected to the back cogwheel, and that cogwheel is connected to the main wheel or the back wheel of the bicycle. So when you are paddling it, so the back tire or the back wheel is going to rotate. So there are several different units. The paddle කියලා කියන්නේ unit එකක්, cogwheel එක කියලා කියන්නේ unit එකක්, chain එක කියලා කියන්නේ unit එකක්. So at the unit testing, we test those things separately. Now we are connected with each other, and we are checking once we are paddling whether the back wheel is going to rotate or not. So those kind of tests is called integration testing. So several different units are combined with each other and search whether the integrated module or the integrated units are being will be worked as expected or not. So likewise, you can do several different integration testing according to the system. Then after, we are going to do the system testing. Now, system testing means system as a whole. We take the entire system and we input it, and we'll see whether the correct output is given. Now, if you take a mobile phone, the system testing that you can do it, you will see you take the phone and dial a number, and you check whether it is connected with another phone when a SIM is inserted. Right? So you are checking the entire system. Number pad එක වැඩද, touch screen එක වැඩද, connectivity කියන එක වැඩද, right? And when it is connected with the other end, our microphone is working, whether we can hear what they are telling, so we can say speaker is okay. So entire system is being tested. So those are the major three tests: unit testing, integration, and system. So once those three testing steps are done, as the final step of testing, we are hand the system over to the client and tell him to check whether he is satisfied with the system that we have made, or asking him to test the system that we have made. So until the integration system testing, the system was with us, with the project team. Develop කරන කට්ටියත් එක්ක තමයි system testing එක ගාවට වෙනකන් තිබුණේ. So when it is handed over to the client for the testing, he will do the things as he wants to the system and see whether the correct output is given for him. Then client ඔය වෙලාවේ හැම දෙයක්ම test කරගන්න දන්නේ නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්, but what client actually need is what he was expecting when he was explaining the things to us, and he's checking whether those things are included into the system. අපිට කියන වෙලාවේදී යා කියපු දේවල් ටිකක් තිබ්බ මට මෙන්න මේ දේවල් ටික හදලා දෙන්න කියලා. So මෙතනදී යා බලනවා අපිට ඒ මම කලින් කියපු දේවල් ටික මේගොල්ලෝ මට හරියට හදලා දීලා තියෙනවද කියලා. Right? So that is what you call acceptance testing. And if that test is successful, acceptance testing make a success, so client will accept the software. Otherwise, he can reject the software. එයාට satisfy නොවුනොත් කියන්න පුළුවන් මේ මම ඉල්ලපු system එක නෙවෙයි, ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේක හරියට හදලා නැහැ, මට අවශ්‍ය නැහැ කියලා. If something goes like that, the entire cost and the entire time which we have spent on creating the software will be in vain. Right? ඒක නිසා සාමාන්‍යයෙන් project managers ලා project එකක් කරනකොට project managers ලා හරියට මහන්සි වෙනවා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ product එක client උවමනා විදිහටම output කරගන්න. So acceptance test will be goes in the successful manner. So that means client will be accept the thing. Hi, is it clear until this point? Give me a feedback, people. Oh, good. Right. Okay. So let's proceed. Right. Right. So so far, what we have done in the very first time, we gathered the requirement. Then we designed the solution. My plan එක හැදුවා කියලා. Then we code the solution. That means we develop the system. දැන් අපේ system එකක් අපේ අතේ තියෙනවා. අපේ computer එකේ තියෙනවා. Then we did what? The testing and debugging is done. So අපි හදාගත්ත system එක check කරලා බැලුවා. මේක හරියට වැඩ කරනවද නැද්ද කියන එක. So on the last test, which is called the acceptance test, client has accepted what we have done. එයාට check කරේ නෑ. එයා accept කරා කියලා අපි හිතමු. එයාට අවශ්‍ය වෙන දේ දැන් හරි විදිහට කරලා දෙන්න. ඔයගොල්ලෝ student information system එක හරියට කරාම you will be presented into the principal. So principal will go through the system, and if she is or he is satisfied about the system, so that means acceptance testing is done successfully, right? So then the client will ask you to deploy the system. Now deploying means what? Then මේ උඩ තැනට වෙනකන් හරියට අපේ සිස්ටම් එක තිබුණේ මේ ෆැක්ටරි එකක වගේ නේද? ඒ ෆැක්ටරි එකේ ප්‍රොඩක්ෂන් කෙරි තිබුණා. Now we have to take that system to the real place, right? Then our system එක ගෙදරදී තමයි වගේ කම්පියුටර් එකෙන් හදා ඉන්නේ. So that's your factory, right? So once the acceptance test is done, so whatever the thing inside your computer, whatever you have been developed, now you have to take that system and give it to the school and install that system into the computers inside the. Good morning. Right. Sorry for the disturbance, Peter. You know how it happens. Right. So deployment of the system. Hello, baby. Right. So when you are doing the deployment, that means now you are going to install the system into your school as per your example, right? So you can do the deployment in 4 different ways, right? Before I explain this, people, will you mark down the things that you need to note down in your book? So I told you regarding the as per the third subheading, you have to write down the entire paragraph, at least only this paragraph, copy to your book. And regarding the testing, just mark these things. Yes, so I need you to write down the very first paragraph, right, which I'm highlighting now, and explain means copy these 4 types of testing, right? And it's better you draw the diagram as well, so you can have the idea this is done one after the other. So then simply explain this. You don't need to draw things. If you like to draw, so you can do it. Otherwise, just copy what is unit test, what is integrate test, what is system. Right, I think some power failures are there in some of the places. Leandra, is it a power failure to us? Right, let's say it's like that. Okay, so regarding the testing, you have to copy down the unit testing part, integration testing part, system testing part, and the acceptance testing. Write the things under because those can be tested on your test paper. So it's better you practice by writing it, right? That's why I'm asking you to copy these things down. So copy, right? So the very first paragraph, then the diagram, and the explanations regarding each and every test. Okay, so the deployment of the system. So deployment means, I told you, what we have developed in our computer, we are going to take that system onto the client's computer or computers. In our example, we have created a student information system in our home for school. So now we are going to take that system from our computer to the school computer. So when you are deploying it, there are 4 different ways that you can do it. So one way, which is called the direct deployment, right? Now direct deployment means you tell to the school, whatever the system that you have followed so far, stop it right there, and here's the new system for you. So you carry out your work using this new system, right? So old system is being omitted or discarded. The new system is installed and it is being carried out from that point onward. Now, what is the best thing of this? Every people or every person in the organization can experience the new system once it is being installed. But there is a disadvantage as well, in case if the new system occurs some errors, then your system can be in a place which is being crashed. System එක ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුණොත්, අලුත් system එකකට ප්‍රශ්නයක් වුණොත්, we don't have the old system as the backup, because we have taken that old system out, right? So අපි old system එකේ records තියාගන්නේ නැහැනේ එතකොට. So it's all the records on the new system. If it crashed, then it will be a problem. And crashing the software can be happen at the very initial stage of the deployment. Can අපිට අලුතෙන්ම install කරලා වැඩ කරගෙන යන මුල් කාලයේදී තමයි system එකේ ප්‍රශ්න එන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. So there is a disadvantage as well as an advantage. And when it comes to the parallel deployment, that disadvantage of the direct deployment is been managed. So parallel deployment means you have your old system and you have your new system for a certain amount of period. So once you are okay with the new system, the old system will be taken out. අපේ පරණ system එකේ අලුත් system එකයි දෙකම run කරගෙන යනවා අපි ටික කාලයකට. So once you are satisfied with the new system and when you are confident with the new system, so old system will be stopped. When it comes to your example regarding the student information system, like the scenario of admitting a student will be recorded in the books as well as will be recorded in the computer, right? So once that once that process is confident for the people in the organization, then they will stop the things recording on the book and they will only carry out the things with this computer system. So that is what you call parallel deployment. For a certain amount of period, it will be the old system and the new system will be carried out parallelly. So the advantage is, if your new system crashed, you still have a backup by your old system. The disadvantage is you have to work in the double manner, right? You cannot එකම වැඩේ දෙසරයක් කරන්න වෙනවා for a period, right? යම් කිසි කාලයකට එකම වැඩේ දෙකක් කරන්න වෙනවා. Like when you are admitting a student, you have to record it on the book as well as record it in the computer. So it doubles the time, right? It's a disadvantage එකක් තියෙනවා. Right. So then they are talking about the pilot deployment. Now pilot deployment means, now you have developed a system in your in your home, that means your factory place. So you are going to apply this to the organization. Now you are not going to apply the system into the entire organization, right? If you take, there will be in lot of school there will be departments like primary and secondary. So what we are going to do is we are going to apply our system only for the primary section. So once the primary section is given the new system, still secondary section or the upper school is carrying out the old system still. Pilot program, pilot place, it's the primary section. So we put it to the primary section, the new system, the computerized system, then asking primary section to carry out the work using that computer system. Then later, once the primary section is confident with the system, we'll deploy to the secondary section. So primary section is taken as the pilot project or the pilot system carrying out place for the system deployment. Right? Right. Do you got any questions? So you can ask. Or please confirm me whether you are clear. Right, okay. Right, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Right, then the very last one. Now, it is called the phase deployment. Now, be careful, guys and girls. In most of the cases, students are mixing out. Students will get mixed out the phase deployment and the pilot deployment with each other, right? Pilot එකයි phase එකයි පටල ගන්න එපා. ගොඩක් වෙලාවට කතිය පටල ගන්නවා ඔක. දැන් ඔයගලන්ට ඔක මතක තියාගන්න ලේසි ක්‍රමයක් I'll tell you. Now ඔයගොල්ලෝ හිතන්න මෙහෙම balls එකක් තියෙනවා. ලොකු බෝල දෙකක් තියෙනවා. අපි එක බෝල් එකක් අපි ඩෙවලොප් කරපු සිස්ටම් එක. අනිත් බෝල් එක ඉස්කෝලේ තියෙන සිස්ටම් එක. ෆුට්බෝල් එකක් ඔළුවට දාගත්තොත් ඔක මතක තියාගන්න ලේසියි. ඒත් අපි ඩෙවලොප් කරපු අලුත් ෆුට්බෝල් එකේ කෑල්ලෙන් කෑල්ල අරගෙන අනිත් ෆුට්බෝල් එක ෆිල් කරනවා නම් right අලුත් ෆුට්බෝල් එකේ කෑල්ලක් අරගන්නවා පරණ ෆුට්බෝල් එකේ පරණ කෑල්ල අස් කරලා එතනට ෆික්ස් කරනවා ඊළඟට ආයෙත් පරණ ෆුට්බෝල් එකේ අනිත් කෑල්ල අස් කරලා ෆික්ස් කරනවා අන්න ඒ විදිහට තමයි phase deployment එක කරන්නේ so phase deployments happen you are not going to apply entire software system or like entire system into your old system. What you are going to do is you are going to apply the one specific part from the new system into the old system, right? Then as an example, let's say your system has 3 different areas: student maintenance, teacher maintenance, and resource maintenance. So from your old system, what you are going to deploy is you are going to get rid of the student maintenance part of the old system, and you will be taken the student maintenance part from the new system and will include into the old system. The parna system එක කියන්නේ දැනට ඉස්කෝලේ තියෙන system එකේ student maintenance part එක විතරක් අපි අලුත් system එකෙන් carry out කරනවා. Teacher maintenance part එකයි resource maintenance part එකයි we are asking the school to do it as the old way. Only the student maintenance part is done as the new way, or using the new system. So we apply one phase of our system. So after some time, we are going to say, okay, now get rid of the teacher maintenance part as well from the old system. So we apply the teacher maintenance part from the new system into the school. Now student maintenance part and the teacher maintenance part is carried out according to the new system. Resource maintenance part is still on the old system. Then after some time, we are going to replace the resource maintenance part as well. On that point, school will be having the entire system installed into the organization. Right? එතකොට paste එකේ කරන්නේ ඔය විදිහට. කෑල්ලෙන් අලුත් system එකේ කෑල්ලක් අරගෙන පරණ system එකට fix කරනවා. pilot deployment එකේ මොකද උනේ? entire system එක අරගෙන organization එකේ තෝරගත්ත එක කොටසකට දානවා. ඒ කියන්නේ organization එකේ departments තියෙනවනම් එක department එකකට අපි කතා කරේ primary section එක කියලා. ඒකට entire system එක පාවිච්චි කරන්න කියලා කියනවා. That's the pilot. ඒකට ඒකේ entire system එක යනවා organization එකෙන් කොටසකට. phase deployment කියලා කියන්නේ මුළු organization එකටම system එකෙන් කොටස apply කරන එක. Right? So don't get those things mixed up. Right? Okay. So for the notes to be copied into your book, so it's better you say the first line under the subheading of deployment of the system, right? And then you can start from direct deployment and write the explanation. You don't really need to write the example, right? Write only the explanation, right? So you can remember what I have said here. And for the parallel deployment, again, write down what's the explanation. And it's better you, if you can just draw these, the second diagram, which is indicated by arrows, may arrows වලින් ඇඳලා තියෙන පොඩි diagram එක ඔයගලන්ට copy කරගන්න. Then you will be having a clear idea about how it happens. And for the pilot deployment, just copy this line and draw the diagram. And for the phase deployment, again, copy the first para and draw the diagram. Right? So that will be the things which you should mention under the deployment of system subheading. Okay, is that clear? Let me have the respond on the chat. Right, thank you people, thank you very much. Right, so we are moving to the end of this lesson, right? Yeah, another 2 more pages to go, right? Very simple things that we need to discuss, so we will be able to finish up the lesson by today. So the very last phase of this SDLs. So before we move into the very last phase, let's recap what we have done. So first, what we have done, we have gathered the requirements. That's the very first stage that we have done. So we gathered the requirements. Then we designed the solution. Plan එක හදාගත්තා. Then we code the solution using programming languages and database management system. And we test it, whether the developed software or the system is working properly or not. And we deploy the system. Once the client accepts the system, we went and deployed. So there are 4 different deployment phases. And we are going to do the maintenance then thereafter. So once the deployment happens, maintenance comes after deployment. right? එතකොට deploy කරලා ඉවර වෙලා ඕගොල්ලෝ organization එක ඕගොල්ලෝ involve වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඕගොල්ලෝනේ project team එක. You are the people who is developing the software. So the people in the school, as per our example, so now teachers, students, and office staff will be involved with the installed system and will carry out their work. So when they are doing their work using that system, there will be cases where they need to maintain the system with the help of the project team, right? So what are the maintenance type? Now you can see the maintenance type or like the maintenance cases using these 3 points. Developing system to suit new user requirement. Now, as an example, you have done your student information system for the school. So far it is being used inside the school as an offline system. So with this new situation, principal need to available it for the online as well. So it's a new user requirement, user requirement. So you need to add that part to the system, so which can be category under maintenance, right? And second one, issues that surfaced with the use of system which were not identified during the system development. Yes. So අපි testing වලදී අපි ගොඩක් system එක test කරලා බලුවානේ. So there will be cases where we couldn't identify the bugs or the issues during that testing process, right? It is something very practical, right? System එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ ගොඩක් complex දෙයක් නිසා හැම error එකම අපිට අල්ලගන්න බැරි වෙන්න පුළුවන් project team එකට. So when the users, that means the client side, ඉස්කෝලේ කට්ටිය system එක පාවිච්චි කරනකොට, so they may come up with new issues. I mean මේ window එක load වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ප්‍රශ්නයක්. And මෙතන button එක click කරාට ඒ button එක වැඩ කරන්නේ නැහැ. So it's a problem. So then they will contact the project team and tell the issue. So project team should come visit and maintain the situation. Right, so that is regarding new issues, right? And again, adopting new technologies into the new system to improve efficiency. Yes, so that means let's assume this student information system is being developed only for the computers, right? So principal may need these things now to be compatible with the mobile devices as well. Computers when තමයි මේක desktop screen එක ගත්ත. ඉතින් phone එකට මේක දැම්මම අපිට ගොඩක් පුංචි වෙලා තමයි මේක පේන්නේ. So it's not very compatible with the phones. Now principal need to make this to be compatible with the mobile devices as well. So it's adopting new technologies and new improvements for the system. So again, that modification is done under the maintenance of the system phase. So those maintenance, those are the maintenance types. Like when we are having new user requirements, when we are adopting new technologies, and when we are given with the undiscovered issues of the system. So those things are taken care under the maintenance of the system. So from this point, your SDLC, system development life cycle, is over, right? Okay, so regarding the maintenance of the system, you have to write down, I'll highlight it for you. So you have to have the subheading, and yeah, it's better you go through the entire paragraph, right? From beginning to here, because it's a summarized thing which is there. So you better write it, right? Because writing will practice to you, right? To keep things remember, right? So just mark it from a pencil on your textbook. Please mark it from a pencil, and later you can erase those things, right? Because you have to hand this book over to the youngsters, lower grades. So please mark it from a pencil and please copy it to your book as well. Hello, baby. Okay. Right. So we are at the very end part. I'm going to introduce you to different system development models. Now, what is this system development lifecycle models? Now, so far we have learned what is SDLC, system development lifecycle. So that's how a system is being developed. And that's the generic part, the general way of developing it. And there will be models. Now it's like if you need to manufacture, or like if you need to tail a shirt or a frock, there are a general way of making a shirt and a frock. And you later, when you are developing it, you can have many different styles to that. Right? Ek විදිහට අපිට style කරලා shirts and frocks මහන්න පුළුවන්. So those styles are called models of the shirt and frock. So in the very same way, system development life cycle will have a general way of doing it, and models will modify the things, right, according to the client requirements and the project team's requirements as well. So here they have given you 4 different models, but in your book they have discussed only 2 different models. So the very first one says waterfall model. So waterfall model, now look into your picture, see. So it is actually like a waterfall. So from identification of requirement to the planning solution and to the implementation of solution, that means deployment, sorry, designing part, and testing and debugging, then deploying, then maintenance, right? So the very same parts are there, but still they have given a different way of executing it. Now, according to the waterfall model, once you are going to move to a lower phase, you must complete your upper phase completely, right? That means identification of requirements should be done entirely and should be finished to move to the planning solution. Now, when it comes to the real world, now this will be a very big constraint. ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙනවා මේ වැඩේ කරගන්න ගියොත්. මොකද දැන් අපි දන්නවා අපි මොනවා හරි දෙයක් plan කරනකොට නේද? දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ trip එකක් යන්න plan කරනකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ මුලින්ම plan කරලා ටික වෙලාවක් ගිහලා ඒ ටික ලෑස්ති කරගෙන යනකොට ආයෙ අලුතෙන් දෙයක් මතක් වෙනවා. So you are going to plan for it again. But if you are doing it on the the waterfall method, you won't be able to do any modification, because it says once you are gathered the identification, once you are gathered the requirements, you can't gather the requirements again. So you have to plan what you have been gathered. එකතු කරගත්ත ටිකට අදාළව තමයි plan කරන්න ඕනේ. අලුතෙන් දෙයක් හිතුනොත් ඒක plan කරන්න බෑ. So make the real world will be execute කරනකොට in most of the cases project team එක ඇතුලේ තව sub teams හැදෙනවා. requirement gather කරන team එක. Binu, I am sorry. Binu මට කතා කරලා කියලා තියෙනවා මේ disconnect වුණා කියලා. Hold on. Right, people, I think Binu, I'm sorry, mama දැක්කේ මේ message එක. So I'm recording the session, so I will put these things into your LMS, which I couldn't do in last 2 weeks. So today and by tomorrow I will put these things, right? So you will be able to see what I have done, right? So I'll keep the recording and publish it on my LMS, so you will log in into it and see what you have missed, right? So don't worry. Right, okay. So so waterfall method is like that. So you have to fulfill one phase That means, first of all, you have to identify requirements fully, then you have to go for the planning. So once you are done with planning, then you can design or implement. So when you are done with implementation, then you can test and debug it, right? So once you are testing and once the testing and debugging is done, then you can deploy it. So remember, in the waterfall model, you have to completely finish a one phase to move to the other phase. That is why it is being called waterfall method. So it happens one after the other, right? And in practical world, this is very hard to apply for the project. So if someone is choosing this model, he needs to know the requirements very strictly and specifically to go to do the project according to the waterfall model. හරියටම requirements ටික දැනගෙන තමයි waterfall model එකත් එක්ක වැඩ කරන්න වැඩ කරන්නේ. ඒ නිසා ගොඩාක් වෙලාවට මේ real world projects වලට මේ waterfall model එක apply කරගන්නේ හරි අඩුයි. And this iterative incremental model is a very practical solution, like a practical model. So they are starting from the identification of requirements. So first you identify the requirements, then you are going for the clockwise way. So you plan in it, then you analyze it and design, right? Plan karaganno, design karaganno, then you implement. That means you are coding it. Then you test it, right? So once you test it, if it need any more add-ins, that means evolution, improving on. So you evaluate it and again plan it, design it, and test it. ඒක හරියට අර අපිට අලුත් requirements ආවම ආයෙසරයක් ඒ අලුත් requirement එක plan කරලා එයාව design කරලා එයාව build up කරලා test කරනවා. So likewise, until the user satisfied, you will iterate this. What are you going to iterate it? New requirements ටික හොයාගන්නවා, plan කරනවා, design කරනවා, and test කරනවා. Right? So once it is done, you can do the deployment. Right? Then you can do the maintenance and all other parts. Right? So iterative incremental model is something very practical to the real world. Right. So regarding the notes, my dear students, so what you have to do is you better put this system development lifecycle module and please copy this first paragraph with these 4 different modules and write the waterfall model heading and hold on. Yeah, then in the first paragraph, started from the second line to develop a system, right? To develop a system from likewise, so come continue it until the end, and you have to write down these points as well, right? So it's better you draw the life cycle as well, the model as well. And regarding the iterative incremental module, yeah, you draw the diagram and you better write down these features, right? So that will be all, right? Okay. I hope you have marked what I have said. So today we are done with the system development life cycle, or like the second lesson of yours. So by next week, I'm going to start the third lesson, right? Let's see what is in our third lesson. As I remember, it's regarding the internet and email. Yeah, this internet and email. Again, another very small one and a practical one. So I'm going to show you something, how you are going to find things. So then we will be able to finish it very soon as well. Right? So, okay, people. So for the moment, so I'm going to stop screen sharing. So for the moment, I'm going to end things up from here. So this lesson is being recorded, so I'll publish you the things in the LMS, so you will be able to see it. Yeah, so we'll meet next time, right? So until that, I'll prepare some questions as well, which I was promising for last 2 weeks, which I couldn't do due to my heavy workload. My school students are know how busy our system is. So please excuse me for that, and I'll make it up to you in this week, however, right? So until then, have a nice weekend, people. So I'm giving you the recording by tomorrow, right? Yes, Natasha, you're welcome. So give the message to others as well, so they can access the LMS and see the recordings as well, right? And people, I have mentioned about the payments, and I have mentioned some names who do not need to do the payments because they have done it on the March. March වල payment එක කරලා තියෙන කට්ටිය මේ මාසෙට pay කරන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. March වල pay නොකරපු කට්ටිය ඔයගලන්ට ලේසි විදිහකට අම්මලා තාත්තලාට ලේසි විදිහකට payment එක settle කරන්න මම details එවලා ඇති බලන්න ඒක කොහොමද කියලා. Right, මම එහෙනම් අදට session එක මෙතනින් ඉවර කරනවා අපිට. Right, so have a nice weekend. Right, we'll meet on next Saturday at the same time as well. Right, okay, people. Goodbye then. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, sir.
Goodbye, sir. Thank you.
Okay, goodbye.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Sita, goodbye, goodbye.